All right, today we are heading deep into the heart of Rajasthan, India. We're going to explore a 17th century fortress city, a place that's as stunningly beautiful as it is, well, deeply unsettling. We're digging into the mystery of Bhangarh Fort.
Okay, let's just start right there. Think about that for a second. This isn't some spooky suggestion from a tour guide or a line from a horror movie. This is an official, legally binding warning. It's from the government of India, and it's posted right at the entrance. That fact alone tells you, this place is different.
And yeah, that warning, it leads us directly to the big question, the one we're going to try and unpack. What on earth happened inside these walls that was so terrifying, so powerful, that even centuries later, you are forbidden by law from being there after dark?
To even begin to understand the fear that surrounds Bhangarh, you have to start with the folklore. Because the ruins here, they're not just said to be haunted by spirits. No, the story goes much deeper. It's about two powerful curses that supposedly sealed the city's fate.
When you ask people what happened to Bhangarh, you'll almost always hear one of two stories. The first is a tale about a holy man, a broken promise, and some serious wrath. And the second, well, it's a dramatic, tragic story about a beautiful princess and a dark magician. Let's get into them.
So story number one involves a hermit, a sage named Guru Balu Nath. He used to meditate on this land, and he gave the king permission to build his fort on one very, very strict condition. The shadow of the fort must never touch a sacred spot. Well, for generations that rule was followed. But then, a later, more ambitious ruler built the palace higher. The shadow fell. And the sage, enraged, unleashed a curse that doomed the entire city to become nothing but ruins.
But the legend you'll hear most often is the tragic tale of Princess Ratnavati. She was said to be incredibly beautiful, and a local wizard who practiced black magic became obsessed with her. He tried to trick her, enchanting some perfume so that if she used it, she'd fall in love with him. But the princess was smart. She figured out his plan and threw the bottle at a huge boulder nearby. The magic worked all right, but it worked on the rock. The boulder started rolling right towards the wizard, and it crushed him. But with his very last breath, he cursed Bhangarh, damning everyone who lived there to a terrible fate.
Okay, so those are the stories. They're chilling, they're memorable, and they're definitely supernatural. But what does actual, verifiable history tell us? Let's try to peel back all those layers of folklore and see what kind of city really existed here.
Because Bhangarh Fort was absolutely a real place, and for a time, a very prosperous one. It was built back in the 17th century by a ruler named Raja Madho Singh. And this wasn't just some small fort. This was the capital of an entire kingdom.
And this timeline, this is where the real story and the legend really start to diverge. You see, the folklore tells of a sudden catastrophic end. Poof, gone in a night. But history suggests something much slower. A city that thrived for decades and then, after about 1720, began a gradual decline. Power in the region shifted, the kingdom's capital moved, and things like famine or war likely pushed people to just leave over time. It wasn't a single curse night, it was a slow human departure.
And to really get a sense of what was lost, you have to understand the scale we're talking about here. This wasn't some tiny village. At its peak, the city of Bhangarh had over 9,000 houses. 9,000! I mean, that was a proper metropolis for its time.
And it was sophisticated too. You can still see the incredible blend of Rajput and Mughal architectural styles. It had everything a capital city would need: a grand royal palace for the rulers, multiple temples for worship, ornate courtyards, and busy, bustling markets. This was a true center of culture and commerce long before it ever became a ghost story.
So now we've got these two very different stories running side by side. We have the historical record of a city that was slowly abandoned, and then we have the chilling folklore of a kingdom destroyed by a curse. So let's look at how those two things crash into each other in the present day. Because the story really doesn't end in the 18th century. Those legends are kept alive, fueled by the incredibly unsettling things that people say they experience inside the fort's walls right now. So what is it they're actually reporting?
Well, the paranormal claims are surprisingly consistent. A lot of visitors talk about this overwhelming feeling of just being watched. Others describe sudden, bone-chilling drops in temperature, even on a blazing hot day. And then there are the sounds. You know, whispers when no one's there, footsteps, even screams echoing through the ruins. A few have even claimed to see strange figures or objects moving by themselves.
And this, right here, really gets to the heart of the whole mystery.
On one side, you have the legend, destroyed in an instant, home to ghosts, a supernatural end. On the other side, you have history, gradually abandoned, a home for thousands of real people, a decline due to things we can explain. It's one physical place, but there are two completely different stories fighting to explain why it's empty.
So, in the end, we're left with this place that just kind of defies a single, easy explanation. It exists somewhere in that gray area between a history lesson and a haunting. And you know, maybe that's the real secret of Bhangarh. Its power isn't just in the crumbling palaces or the historical facts. Its real power comes from that potent combination of the two. The haunting beauty of the ruins themselves provides the perfect stage for the unforgettable stories of how it all ended.
Which really leaves us with one final, kind of provocative question, doesn't it? In a place like Bhangarh, a place just saturated with so much tragedy and so much time, can we ever really find the line where history ends and a ghost story begins?